So I have the privilege of being here in front of all of you to be able to help you communicate more effectively, how to connect, how to inform, and how to educate the individuals and the people that you're going to be surrounding yourselves with. And I can't be more excited because this is something that I do on a daily basis with my patients. And I'm so passionate about patient education, but I'm even more passionate about action. Knowledge is useless without application. And this is so important for us to understand because we can have all the facts, all the information, and all the tools, but if we never implement an action plan or an action step to be able to take steps towards the right direction, then nothing's going to change. When taking a look at integrative health, integrative nutrition, all these big buzzwords that we have in our communities nowadays, what does it really come down to? What do these terms actually mean? I think to me as a practitioner, as somebody who prides himself on being on the cutting edge of a lot of these leading technologies and therapies, that word, those different types of thought processes essentially come down to asking the tough questions and getting the right answers. The ability to critically think through what we're really trying to accomplish with health. Health is not about taking some sort of drug. Health is not about having some procedure done. Health is not about seeing some practitioner multiple times a week, a month, a year. Health is about giving us our quality of life back. And that is what all of this conversation surrounds, is essentially finding ways to help individuals give them their quality of life back. That is my number one goal in the office. That's my number one goal when I'm speaking. And that's my number one goal throughout life, is to help bring value to not only the individuals that I get to connect with personally, but those who I may not ever meet, who maybe get to see some of these videos. Maybe I have the opportunity to speak to one of you and say, oh, wow, I would love to learn more about that because this is important to me and I want my quality of health back as well. When I take a look at the term integrative health, I really think of almost like a circle. Right? Circles can be comprised of so many different slices, so many different types of features. And when I take a look at integrative health, there's the entire health system as a whole. Every single type of provider, every single type of therapy has some slice of the pie. And I think it's an important thing to establish the fact that I tell patients all the time, I'm probably not the only person that can help you, but I'm one of the few people that can critically think through your case. Integrative health has allowed me to be able to critically think through individual cases that present themselves into my office, that may present themselves in front of you in the street, a coffee shop, or through a conversation with a family member. Integrative health to me is asking the hard questions and understanding that there's many things that can affect the health. For instance, nutrition, exercise, sleep patterns, finding ways to declutter your life and decrease stress. And the biggest thing of all, mindset, right? I think this is a huge component to health. And to get people to understand a lot of these topics and terms is very difficult, but it really isn't. It's more difficult to implement it than it actually is to educate them. We all know what we need to do to be healthy, but how many people actually design their lives around their health and not the other way around, right? The question has to be asked. And so when we're looking at integrative health, how do you have these conversations? How do we get to understand where nutrition plays a role, where exercise plays a role, where mindset plays a role? Specifically for this class, we're going to talk about the nutritional aspects. And for those of you who have listened to me lecture before, you know that I'm keen and very adamant about understanding ways to help people decrease inflammation, decrease stress, and optimize gut function and brain function, because those are the two things that affect every single thing inside your body. The beauty with what these guys have done is they've found products that help you with that. And so my ability to effectively communicate with my patients dictates the outcomes that I have. Your ability to communicate effectively with the individuals that you're having conversations with will be the direct result and yield the results that you eventually get. When we're taking a look at integrative health, it comes down to a couple different factors. First of all, you got to understand that food is medicine, and that medicine is food. When we take a look at our society and where we're stuck at, a lot of people are making really poor food choices. And there's even studies showing that even when you make optimal food choices, the soil, the type of products that we're growing really aren't holding their weight with regards to the nutritional value that they used to, that our grandparents and great-grandparents used to eat. So there's nothing wrong with looking for other ways to optimize health and functionality. You just have to understand that there are good products and there are bad products out there, right? Fortunately for you, you understand what the differences are and you've made a right decision to be here today. Now, when I take a look at people who may have their health in check or they're trying to get their health back in line, there's nothing wrong with supplementation. There's nothing wrong with doing dietary food changes. There's nothing wrong with doing both either. And to be honest with you, I do the same thing in my office. I get patients to make good, healthy decisions. I get them to understand the importance of proper supplementation and proper food choices, but they do them collectively together because nutrition is one aspect on the spectrum of food choice. Nutrition is also on the same aspect and same spectrum of making quality decisions with regards to what products you put in your body, and specifically supplementation. Nutrition is the keystone for health. Your gut is viewed as the first brain in a lot of the Oriental medicine fields. And they view it that way because the brain, secondary, the brain that we all think about upstairs, has some significant feedback mechanisms from the gut and from the brain, specifically with different types of hormones such as leptin, ghrelin, cortisol. All of these different hormones play a significant role in your brain function. How many of you have ever had a huge meal, let's say it's a Thanksgiving dinner, and all of a sudden you start getting sleepy, right? It's a common thing. Is it excessive calories? Is it too much tryptophan? Is it a combination of other factors? Probably, but that's a feedback mechanism that affected your brain, right? It's a simple example, but we look at so many different mechanisms between these two organs, for the lack of a better term, and we're really understanding that there's an intimate relationship between your gut and your brain. And those of you who've heard me speak before, I love using this tagline: healthy gut equals healthy brain equals healthy life. And you can interchange any one of those words and it will still have the same effect, because we're understanding if you want to have a high quality of life, you have to have a high functioning brain. And in 2018, we're finding out that to have a high functioning brain, you have to have a gut that functions as well as anything else out there. Your gut yields 70% of your immune system and produces 70% of the serotonin found throughout your body and your central nervous system. Those are staggering numbers. The importance of that is that if you don't take care of your gut's not going to take care of you. And the beauty of that is understanding that the gut has secondary feedback mechanisms to the brain. We take a look at classic examples of multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of these neurodegenerative disorders that we viewed as strictly a neurological deficit. We're finding that those diseases actually precede symptom onset by 10 to 15 years by settling in the gut and having gut symptoms, things such as irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, different aspects of these chronic brain-based or cognitive issues. Let's say it's fatigue, they can't think well, they don't feel like themselves, they don't feel right. Then guess what? I think there's probably going to be a high chance they're probably having some gut stuff too, right? If I had one of you step to the ledge of a tall building and lean over, how many of you would get nauseous and probably want to puke? Most of you, right? If not all of you, okay? That mechanism right there shows you the intimate relationship between the brain and the gut. That gut feeling that you feel when you have something change in your neurology is such an important aspect because it's a two-way street. And if you take care of your gut will take care of your brain. And if you take care of your brain will take care of your gut. Decreasing inflammation in the gut is the most important factor that you can do to help people live a healthier life. And the reason why is a lot of the chronic inflammation that we talk about in society that was on the cover of Time magazine as the #1 killer in the United States, all this stuff starts in the gut. And the reason that it starts in the gut is because you have different groups of bacteria essentially having a civil war inside that gut. Now, there are good bacteria and there are bad bacteria, and the more we look into it, the more we understand how beneficial those good bacteria are and how bad those bad bacteria are, but it's a constant battle. It's not like you have one or the other. You have a combination of all these different types of bacteria in your gut. So the beauty of that is that you have good guys, but you also have bad guys. Well, it makes sense for us to want to feed the good guys and eliminate the bad guys. And that's what these products can do. When you take a look at what Ace Mannan really is, it's a mannose. It's a molecule. It's a short-chain polysaccharide. And what that means is it's a sugar. This sugar has the ability to help feed beneficial bacteria inside the gut to make sure that your good bacteria outweigh the bad bacteria. They can take care of your vessel walls. They can help you absorb food. They can help you actually improve different aspects of your physiology because they're able to help decrease inflammation. And we take a look at the gut wall itself. It's essentially like a castle wall. It's very selective with letting specific things in and out of the gut. Now, if that castle wall gets hit with cannonballs and you have openings and you have areas for people to get inside, you start having havoc. And that's essentially what happens in quote unquote a leaky gut syndrome or an increased permeability of the gut. You don't have that selective choice of letting specific foods, compounds, and nutrients inside the gut. The issue with that is clearly evident. You don't get the nutrients, but most of all, you're having foreign invaders, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, parasites, all these different things that have an opportunity to get into your bloodstream. You mount an immune response, and all of your energy goes towards fighting off these chronic infections instead of using it for upstairs for you to think and be able to enjoy your life, right? How many people suffer from chronic fatigue in the United States? I mean, I would argue 99% of the people, right? I don't know a single person who's not stressed out nowadays. There are those individuals who can manage their stress far more efficiently than others. And I would argue that their physiology is on point, their nutrition's probably on point, their mindset's probably on point, their workouts are probably on point. No one's perfect, but it's always progress over perfection. The main issue with this chronic inflammation in the gut is that it's not serving you because it's allowing you to be susceptible to things that you're already in your environment. Every single one of us has viruses and bacteria and parasites living inside our bodies. Our bodies just do a good enough job to keep it at bay so we don't get sick and we don't mount a significant immune response. You're always fighting those things off. When your gut becomes leaky, it becomes permeable, you have issues with the gut, you have inflammation, those systems and those processes are accelerated and you start having to put all your energy towards fighting those off instead of being able to use that to live a quality life, right? And I know I just mentioned that, but it's such an important aspect because taking care of the gut is such a fundamental and foundational aspect of any single dietary program. High fiber foods, looking at quality probiotics, looking at compounds that are going to actually benefit the gut, things like L-glutamine, things like that are going to help the mitochondria, the energy-producing cells in your gut, things that are going to make it so that your gut can actually survive and be able to last like it should. Now, when we take a look at helping the gut out, there are multiple ways to do it. High fiber foods, looking at anything that's ever been alive, right? Fruits, vegetables, looking at meats, looking at specific nuts and seeds. If it has a shelf life, it's probably not good for you. And when you take a look at the raw materials to build the house, you want to build the house with the best raw materials. So why would you try and build your body with raw materials that weren't serving you as well either? It's an important aspect and it's an easy conversation to have. I think when we're talking about the gut and the brain, not a lot of people are aware of this connection. I use examples all the time with patients, talking to them about how important the gut is for the brain. And a lot of the research that I referenced earlier too is pretty new. As I've talked about in past, there are about 5 to 10 years of disconnect between research coming out and being published and then having the public actually being aware of it, and then the government's actually enacting statutes to be able to utilize that information. And by the time that happens, guess what? We're already 5 to 10 years behind what the leading research is doing. The beauty of that is that you're lucky enough for Evolve to have paired up with some quality individuals who understand all of this information and communicate effectively. And I'm very fortunate and honored to be able to be a part of this team. A lot of this stuff comes down to taking care of your gut. Your gut is so important for so many different processes throughout your body, and we're finding out more and more of them every single day. Taking a look at nutrition, quality supplementation, but being able to have that conversation and getting people to understand how important their gut is. There's a reason that the saying goes, listen to your gut instinct, and that is never more true today than it has been in the past. And I want you to realize the importance of how important it is for you to take care of your gut, but to be able to communicate how important your gut is to individuals that you come across with when they're looking to maybe try some new products, when they're maybe looking to just have a conversation and have you be an ear for them. Maybe they started a new workout routine and they just want you to be there to push for them. These are relationships we all have and that we all covet. One of the most significant factors in all this stuff is really what the effect is on the body. And we know that the gut is the foundation to build the house. That house that I want to build should take care of me and let me last for many, many years. When we take a look at the products that Evolve has developed and has brought to you at the forefront, they're attacking inflammation. They're looking at repairing the gut. They've just reintroduced probiotics into their new shake, which is phenomenal, and I love it. They're doing a lot of really innovative things to be able to give you the latest technology to be able to handle that. It is going to get better and better and better every single time that we invent and re-evolve new formulas. The beauty of that is that it's always evolving with the science. And when we're able to have that conversation and effectively communicate those terms, those statements, and new things coming out, people are going to listen because they're fed up with the system and they're fed up with how they feel and the quality